Okay, so as we've seen, we don't need to make computerized sound in order to have a computer involved in music. So really, computers or other technology have been involved in controlling devices, whether they're analog or digital, for a long time. And this process of having something control something else for us is called automation. And so automation has taken various forms. This notion of voltage control that was key for the modular analog synthesizers, it actually goes back to the 1940s in certain key early developments. As early as the 1950s, we would be able to program a digital computer by encoding information onto punch cards, kind of like a player piano. You might call a player piano a form of automation. I'm not sure why this author didn't go there. He seemed to go there with other topics. Direct computer control, being able to make those kinds of decisions about music, was accessible in the later 50s and the 1960s. In the 1970s, massively expensive commercial systems for automation came available in the late 1970s, and once you hear the example, you'll start to be able to hear it at work in maybe some of the music by The Who, for example. And then the MIDI standardized protocol, which I'll tell you more about later. MIDI came about in 1983. So as a point in the middle here, I want you to take a look at what life is like working with an analog synthesizer, not doing the patching yourself, but controlling an automator. And so automators in this era would include things that we would call sequencers or arpeggiators. An arpeggiator makes an arpeggio out of something. Well, what's an arpeggio out of something? Anybody speaking Italian would say, oh, it's like a harp. Arpeggio means like a harp. And what does a harp do? Well, it doesn't play every note at once. It plays them one at a time. So an arpeggiator would let us to play a chord, maybe three notes, and okay, let's do a big chord, and we could hold them down all at once, and we could set our arpeggiator and say, okay, play this note first, and then this note, and then this note, and this note, and so on. And so we could just hold one chord down and get an effect that goes, and then I turn the knob and it goes, turn the knob slower. That's how an arpeggiator is going to be working. A sequencer gives you a little bit more stepwise control, or it actually can be called a step sequencer. If we think about it in time, and we break down maybe a measure of music and say, okay, on beat 2 and on beat 4, let's send a little voltage message that will trigger our snare drum, for example. And on beat 1 and 3, let's have our bass drum or our kick drum. So we have boom, chick, and then we'll set some other settings so that at other points in time in this looping measure, other instruments will be triggered. That's how a sequencer works. So look for arpeggiators and sequencers at work here, and so the person who's using them and mapping things is still very busy with patch chords. They're just thinking at another level. They're not playing every note themselves. They're giving the machines directions on what to play. So see if you can see that at work.